Her Royal Highness's Wedding 2025, Princess Leonor marries HRH Christian, live from Denmark. It was supposed to be just another quiet morning in Spain. The kind where the royal palace stays calm, the press focuses on politics, and nothing out of the ordinary interrupts breakfast tables across Madrid. But then, everything changed. Because out of Denmark came an announcement that no one was prepared for. Her Royal Highness Princess Leonor of Spain has just married His Royal Highness Prince Christian of Denmark. Live, official, real. The moment Spain had waited for, and yet, it unfolded hundreds of miles away from home. The country that raised her, that watched her grow, suddenly found itself watching from afar as its future queen said, "I do," under a foreign sky. But why Denmark? Why now? And what does this unexpected royal wedding mean for the monarchy, the families, and the legacy both nations share? Let's take you inside the most emotional, surprising, and defining royal event of the decade. The wedding of Princess Leonor and Prince Christian, live from Denmark. From the first moment the Danish royal court confirmed the ceremony, the world went into overdrive. Every royal watcher, every journalist, every European network scrambled to verify the story. Could it be true? After months of speculation, discreet visits, and royal silence, had the young heirs finally tied the knot? Yes. And not only had they done it, they had done it in the most Leonor way possible, elegant, heartfelt, and quietly revolutionary. At Fredensborg Palace Chapel, nestled among Denmark's serene gardens, guests began arriving early. The air was heavy with excitement, yet laced with disbelief. The Spanish delegation, small but dignified, entered under light rain. The Danish royals followed soon after. When the doors finally opened and the first chords of the royal march echoed through the chapel, a hush swept across the crowd. Cameras zoomed in. And there she was, Princess Leonor, radiant, calm, and visibly emotional, walking down the aisle in a gown that carried both Spanish craftsmanship and Danish simplicity. A gown that told the story of unity in design, and destiny in motion. Prince Christian stood waiting, his eyes fixed on her every step. Two royal futures, two nations' hopes, about to be joined by love. Spain had always imagined this day differently. A grand ceremony in Madrid, a procession through the capital, the echoes of royal bells from Almedina Cathedral. But instead, it happened quietly, gracefully, and across the sea. And yet, somehow, it felt more genuine, more human. This wasn't just a political alliance. It was personal, real. It said that when Leonor reached the altar, she whispered something softly to Christian, something no microphone caught. He smiled, nodded, and held her hand tighter. That simple moment said more than any headline could. Back in Spain, the reaction was explosive. News anchors struggled to maintain composure. Her Royal Highness has married abroad, one anchor said, voice trembling. Princess Leonor is now Princess Christian of Denmark. Within minutes, social media was flooded with emotion. Hashtags surged, videos replayed, and millions watched the same short clip of Leonor's entrance again and again. Some cried. Others cheered. But everyone felt it, the weight of history, the end of an era, and the beginning of something entirely new. Because Leonor wasn't just a princess marrying a prince. She was redefining royalty for her generation, choosing love, while still honoring duty. As the ceremony continued, the Archbishop of Copenhagen spoke words that would echo around the world. In uniting these two houses, we unite hearts that have grown together in friendship, understanding, and purpose. Then came the vows. Leonor, with her voice steady but tender, spoke in Danish. Christian replied in Spanish. It was a symbol of respect, of unity. Each speaking in the other's language, bridging two worlds through love. The crowd erupted into applause, and the royal families looked on with visible pride, and perhaps a few tears. Queen Letizia, elegant and composed, was seen wiping her eyes discreetly. King Felipe stood tall, his gaze fixed on his daughter, as though watching her step fully into her destiny. Even Queen Margrethe of Denmark, now retired but present for the historic moment, smiled warmly as the young couple sealed their vows with a kiss. The reception that followed was both regal and intimate. Inside the palace halls, music filled the air, a blend of Spanish guitar and Danish violin. Toasts were made in two languages. Laughter echoed across generations. Leonor's toast was especially moving. She raised her glass and said, "Today is not just about love between two people, but between two homes, two nations, and two hearts that refuse to be divided by distance." Christian's reply was simple, but perfect. "Leonor, you are not just my wife, you are my compass, my courage, and my forever." Applause broke out. Even the most reserved royals couldn't help but smile. Outside, crowds lined the streets of Copenhagen. Spanish flags waved alongside Danish ones. It was more than a wedding, it was a moment of unity between two countries that had watched these young royals grow up. Cameras captured scenes of joy across Europe. From Madrid to Oslo, from London to Paris, the royal world seemed to pause to celebrate this new chapter. In Spain, church bells rang in tribute. In Denmark, fireworks illuminated the night sky over Amalienborg Palace. The two nations, though different in culture and size, were now bound by something timeless, royal love. But not everyone was calm behind palace doors. Within Spain, discussions began immediately. What would this mean for the monarchy? Would Leonor live abroad? Would she still assume the Spanish throne in the future? Insiders suggest that both families have carefully planned every step. While Leonor's new title as Princess Christian of Denmark is symbolic, her destiny as future Queen of Spain remains unchanged. The marriage, far from dividing her loyalties, could strengthen the Spanish monarchy's position in Europe. King Felipe himself reportedly said to close aides, "She has chosen wisely, with her heart and with her future." It was clear, this was not rebellion. It was evolution. For those who followed Leonor's journey since childhood, from her first speech at 13, to her military training, to her growing confidence as heir, the wedding was more than a headline. It was the completion of a story. Her life had always balanced duty and emotion, structure and sincerity. But on this day, she seemed freer than ever, still royal, still dignified, but unmistakably herself. Every gesture spoke volumes. The way she greeted her in-laws with warmth. The way she shared a quiet smile with her mother. The way she clutched Christian's hand during the blessing. This wasn't the fairy tale of royal perfection. It was the story of real, relatable love within the world's oldest traditions. As the evening reception unfolded, details began to emerge. The wedding cake, designed with layers representing both nations, almond for Spain, marzipan for Denmark. The music playlist featuring Spanish ballads and Danish folk classics. Even the floral arrangements blended roses from Madrid with tulips from Copenhagen. Every detail whispered unity. The first dance took everyone's breath away. Christian led, Leonor followed, but halfway through, they switched, symbolic of shared power, shared leadership. The room erupted in applause. It was more than choreography, it was a statement. The next generation of royalty would be equal, modern, and unafraid of breaking tradition. By midnight, images flooded the internet. The newlyweds waving from the palace balcony. The sparkle of Leonor's diamond tiara, reportedly gifted by Queen Sofia. Christian's expression of pure joy. Spain's press, once divided, began to unite in tone. One headline read, "Nuestra Reina, Nuestro Orgullo." Our Queen, our pride. Commentators noted how the wedding had reignited Spanish national pride, not in old customs, but in the new woman leading them forward. As dawn rose over Madrid, Spain felt different. Younger, lighter, hopeful. Princess Leonor's marriage wasn't just a royal event, it was a mirror for a new generation that values authenticity over perfection, love over image, connection over tradition. In choosing her own path, she had shown millions that duty and heart can coexist. And for Denmark, it was a fairy tale reborn, a future king and queen who understand not just power, but partnership. The next morning, official portraits were released. Leonor and Christian standing side by side, their hands intertwined. Behind them, the flags of both nations fluttered gently. It was more than symbolism, it was the dawn of a new era for European royalty. An era where tradition meets truth. Where monarchy meets modernity. And where two hearts, once separated by borders, now beat as one. As the world continues to replay those magical moments, one thing is certain. This wedding wasn't just another royal spectacle, it was a turning point. A reminder that even within crowns and titles, the deepest stories are still about love, courage, and destiny. Princess Leonor of Spain, now Her Royal Highness Princess Christian of Denmark, has written her own chapter in royal history, not in grand speeches or ceremonies, but in the quiet power of choosing her own path. And as both nations celebrate, one phrase echoes across Europe. She was born to lead Spain. But she was also born to love, freely and fearlessly. And today, she has done both. Her Royal Highness's Wedding, 2025, Princess Leonor marries HRH Christian, live from Denmark. A love story that will be remembered for generations to come.